Now it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the Republic of Djibouti could preside the annual joint consultative meeting for the international scene. The Minsk group calls for immediate cessation of fight. Welcome to our newsroom. The Republic of Djibouti co-chairs the annual joint consultative meetings of the AU Peace and Security Councils and the UN Security Council under the presidency of the Republic of Djibouti and the Republic of Niger. The annual joint meeting between the Peace and Security Councils of the African Union and the United Nations Security Councils was held yesterday online. The situations in Mali, Somalia, and the Sahel regions was on the menu of discussions between the Peace and Security Council of the African Union and United Nations Security Council. At the 40th joint consultative meeting, members of the two councils reiterate their commitment to maintain close cooperation and coordination to overcome major political and security challenges. In addition to Ambassador Mohammed Idris Farah, the meeting was attended by Mr. Abdi Mahmoud Heibe, First Consular, and Ms. Wafa Qasim Ali, Consulars in charge of peace security at the Embassy of the Republic of Djibouti in Ethiopia. The ambassador of Djibouti accredited to Addis Ababa and permanent representative to the African Union, Mr. Mohammed Idris Farah, in his capacity as president of the Peace and Security Councils of the African Union, first welcomed the efforts made and joint efforts of the African Union Peace and Security Councils and United Nations Security Council to promote peace and security in Africa. The chairpersons of the African Union Peace and Security Council also highly appreciate the political, economic, and security progress of the Federal Republic of Somalia. He also expressed the view that the continent still faces many major challenges such as armed conflict, terrorism, and natural disasters, and that he wishes to consider further measures to strengthen cooperation in the face of these challenges. As part of the partnership between the Djiboutian armed forces and the French forces stationed in Djibouti, a parachutist patent ceremony was held today, Thursday, October 1st, to about 20 trainees consisting of 12 non-commissioned officers of the Republican Guard and the 8 elements of the gendarmerie. Ceremony chaired by Colonel L'Amiral Chief of the Joint Staff of the F50G was held in the compound of the French forces stationed in Djibouti in the presence of the representative of the Republican Guard, Colonel Mohammed Jama' Douale, the commanders of the Republican Guard, and Commanders Mohammed Ahmed Hassan, Chief of the Operations of Trainees Bureau of the Republican Guard, and the representative of Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, Major Chief State of the National Gendarmerie, Commander Abdi Daher Mirone, for the NCO's trainees of the Republican Guard. This event closes the trainings that took place from September 20 to October 1st, 2020 at the training centers of the joint battalions of Ali Sabih. Finally, this event ended with the French parachute certification ceremony for the trainees of the Republican Guard and the National Gendarmerie. There was also an exchange of gifts between the instructor and the trainees, followed by a special banquet and family photo. The various speakers of the officer who took part in this ceremony, they congratulate the parachutists who were selected at the end of these trainings within the framework of effective operational cooperation with the unit of the Djiboutian Armed Forces and Security Forces. The FFDG trains and exchanges in several areas. This award of patent sanctions the success of an operational training of the airborne troop which took place during 2 weeks from September 20 to October 1st, 2020, in which the trainees and the officers of the Republican Guard and their brothers in arms of the National Gendarmerie carried out a first phase of physical fitness tests consisting of pull-ups, push-ups, bending on the legs, abdominal and climbing ropes, running and walking times with a back of 11 kilograms on the back. After these physical aptitude tests, the aspiring skydivers followed a phase of technical instructions on the ground at the FFDG. Finally, the Republican Guard sub-officers, trainees, and their National Gendarmerie comrades were able to launch themselves into their Air Force practical flight instructions. A total of 6 jumps were made. All the participants validate their trainees and will be able to display the French military parachutist certificate. The launch of awareness campaign on family planning organized by the Ministry of Women and Family in collaboration with UNFPA and financial support of the European Union took place in the CDCs of districts the 1 and 2 on September 13. The director of the family, Ms. Fozia Ali, officially launched this awareness campaign on family planning, which will take place in the municipality of Bulaus and Balbala from September 30 to November 2. The event was attended by Sheikh Abdurrahman Shamsuddin and the Minister of Welfare, the Deputy Secretary General of the UNFD, Ms. Ruqya, and Ms. Ifrah Ali, midwives of the Ministries of Health. The objective is to organize awareness sessions at the national level focusing on family planning, reproductive health, and human rights. The continuations of the awareness campaign and the integrated cash transfers and human capital development programs after the regrouping site of Gallina in the region of Tujara and that of Dadalu and Dekhil in the region of Dekhil. It was around that the Gabla Galan in the regions of Arta that the joint missions of the decentralization and the Ministry of Social Affairs Solidarity visit yesterday, Thursday, 1st October. This trip is part of the integrated programs of the military transfer and human capital development in the implementation of which the two departments collaborate. This joint mission was led by the Director of Prospective and Territorial Development of the Secretary of State for Decentralization, Fardousa Ahmed Ali. The 5 partners of 2 ministerial departments, namely representatives of the prefectural and local authorities, officials of decentralized state service such as health, education, agriculture, animal husbandry, and pastoral hydraulics, as well as civil studies, also traveled to Gabla Galan. The meeting, which was held at a space set up in the shade of a tree, benefit from the strong presence of all the complaints committee and representative of the beneficiaries of the cash transfer from 3 grouping sites, Gabla Qalan, Hamed and Kurti Maleh and Omar Jaga. It was opened by the Deputy Prefect of Arta, Regions Ahmed Ismail, and the executive committees of regional councils, Abubakar Omar. In the Artas region, the start of schools year for secondary school, as in the rest of the country, is 3 weeks after the fundamentals. On the occasions of this return to school, the usual towers of civil and military authorities of the region was carried out, namely the prefect, the president of the regional council, the colonel of the FAR, the chief doctors, the gendarmerie, and the inspector of the national education. The novelty in the region is for this school year is that 2 new high schools have opened their doors so the students of Damerjok's second years and those of Wea were welcomed in their respective high schools. Finally, the start of the school years in figures the General High School of Arta welcomed 361 students, that of the Hotel High School at 147, the Merjok 62, 62, and for the high schools of WIA 37 students at 607 high school students for the region. The presence of teachers and students in these different establishments was very effective. Following the example of the capital and other regions, the start of the school year for students' secondary education took place as planned on September 13th in General Technical High School in the region of Tajora. A total of 950 students returned to schools with joy and pride. On this occasion, an important delegation is composed of the prefect of the region, Hassan Dabale Ahmed, the president of the regional council, Omar Hussein Omar, the inspector Muhammad Aden, the head of the department of educational advisor, went successively of the two high schools of the capital to see firsthand the good progress of these new schools years. The school year 2020 being placed under the sign of health security, the school principals are required to apply the health protocol issued at least 4 times during the day to respect the distances within the school. Secondary school in Obok on September 30th, the two public high schools in the Obok region reopened their doors as in the rest of the countries in accordance with the circular of the Ministry of National Education. Thus, 373 students and 285 students from the general high schools of Obok and 89 students from the technical high school have returned to school due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The start of the 2020 and school years was impatiently awaited by the decision makers and technicians in the company of the prefect of Obok, the president of the regional council of Obok, and the management teams. We undertook at hours of the various schools. Obok High School, we were reviewed with by the principal Mr. Omar Qasim and the principals Mr. Muhammad Hussein Hassan to supervise the return to school of secondary school, the reception and working conditions of team and students, but especially the measures taken by the various schools. Within the framework of the Regional Fund for Strengthening Resilience and Drought, As'ila and Sankal, it's the turn of the locality of Yoboki that the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Resources in collaboration with the KfW German Development Bank proceeded yesterday morning, September 13th, in Yoboki to the launch of the new participatory financial approach in the presence of the new regional subdirector of the Ministry of Agriculture, Water, Fishing and Livestock Fishery Resources, Mr. Ali Muhammad Ali, president of the Women's Union of Yoboki, with the representative of the Ministry of Agriculture, accompanying the experts from the offices of GOPA, NCS and in the civil society in the context of the Regional Fund for Strengthening Resilience to Drought. The project was for 4 million euro, about 800 million Djibouti franc, is funded by the German Development Bank KfW, implemented by the Ministries of Agriculture, Fisheries and Livestock in charges of fishery resources. The objective of the program is to promote food security and drought resilience in rural communities in order to improve the conditions of the community in the target cross-borders area by improving the availability of access to waters and the creations of income-generating activity, and covers the period 2019 and 2020. Closing ceremony of the training courses for table tennis judges and referees. Guled Stadium hosted last night in the closing ceremony of a training courses for table tennis judge and referee. Several youngsters of the national team, coaches and technicians participate in this week-long training given by the Egyptian experts Mr. Pacinte Osman. This training comes at times when this sport disciplines is gaining in practices and in spectacle among young people, hence the need to strengthen the capacity of coaches in order to promote more performance. The ceremony was attended by the head of sports department, Mr. Ibrahim Hassan Ibrahim, and the president of the Djiboutian Table Tennis Federation, Mr. Mahmoud Umri, and several other members and guests. For the international scene, Nagorno-Karabakh Minsk group calls for immediate cessation of hostility. The immediate cessation of hostility in Nagorno-Karabakh, this is what Emmanuel Macron, Donald Trump, and Vladimir Putin demanded in a joint statement on behalf of the Minsk group, calling for dialogue between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Since Sunday, deadly clashes have been taking place in the territories between Azeri forces and the separatists supported by Armenian. Bombings in the city of Martuni have injured 4 journalists, including 2 special envoys of Le Monde newspaper. According to partial reports, the fighting in recent days has left at least 128 dead. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.
Nous n'avons ménagé aucun effort dans ce sens. Le personnel soignant et les personnes en charge du dépistage travaillent sans relâche, nuit et jour.
Si la maladie a beaucoup régressé, elle n'a pas complètement disparu. Nous devons donc redoubler de vigilance en respectant les mesures barrières que je vous exhorte à poursuivre jusqu'à l'élimination totale et définitive du Covid-19.
La pandémie n'est peut-être pas encore totalement contrôlée, mais ensemble, avec votre concours, on va y arriver.
Contre la Covid-19, je m'engage à respecter les gestes barrières pour moi et pour les autres.
Le Covid-19 est toujours là, mais grâce à la ferme volonté des autorités djiboutiennes et au travail que Djibouti mène ensemble avec ses partenaires, cette pandémie sera certainement vaincue.
Contre la Covid, je m'engage en tant que secrétaire d'État à la jeunesse et des sports.
Nous devons respecter les consignes du ministère de la Santé en se protégeant et en respectant les gestes barrières.
Nous travaillons les mains dans les mains pour contrôler cette épidémie.
Je m'engage à lutter contre cette pandémie, protéger les personnes qui sont à risque face à cette pandémie internationale.
Il faut continuer à se protéger avec des gestes simples tels que le port de masque, le lavage de mains avec du savon et la distanciation physique.
Contre la Covid, je m'engage.
Contre le Covid, je m'engage.
Je m'engage pour l'amour que j'ai vers tout le monde.
Contre la Covid-19, je m'engage.
Contre la Covid, je m'engage.